Well, hello, hello. It's Thursday night, and I'm thrilled to pieces to be here tonight with my good friend, Dr. Michael Gross. Michael, say hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with TISI, the International Institute of Self-Empowerment, and I'm here with TIU. Well, thank you. Little plug for the nonprofit. Of course, Christmas is coming up, and New Year's will be coming up. Before you know it, you might be looking for some tax deduction. How do you like that for a commercial?
Well, that was really great because we're changing up our little program today. Instead of formatting and letting Michael just go ahead with his message, we're gonna put Michael on the hot seat.
Oh
And
boy.
this time we're gonna put Michael on the hot seat to ask questions. And first, I'm going to introduce you, Michael, and then you chat for a minute while I get everybody. I want to put all your contact information into the chat, and then I'm going to start asking you questions. How's that
That's
sound?
great. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to start with the little formal part that I continue to read because I want to make sure I give Michael all of the credit that he deserves. He's worked so hard for so many years to do what he does, and he's so good at it. So here we go, okay? Hold
Thank you.
on to your hat, Michael. Dr. Michael Gross is an author, professional keynote speaker, transformational coach, and an entrepreneur. For more than 3 decades, he has been on a spiritual path as an intuitive, a healer, a spiritual counselor, and a phenomenal teacher. Through the guidance of spirit, Michael has assisted others in their personal quest for self-empowerment, helping them to create the lives that they have long sought and to bring forth their intuitive abilities. Michael currently teaches classes in spirituality, self-empowerment, Reiki, and other modalities. In concert with God, the True Source, he has also achieved great success and miraculous healings. He remains humble, knowing that the work that he does all comes from God, the True Source. He currently lives in Lakewood, Washington. And while you put in a plug for Tizzy, why don't you tell the people just a tiny bit about Tizzy while I put your contact info in the chat, okay?
Absolutely. So TISI, that's our acronym, excuse me, for the International Institute of Self-Empowerment. And when Spirit said I was supposed to form a nonprofit, I go, okay, what am I going to use it for? I didn't get an answer. But that's the kind of way I work. So I finally did it, got it all registered with the federal government, IRS. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with it now, but it has 12 arms, means 12 divisions. And what happened is I was working with TIU, and she wrote a wonderful book about women being abused, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, you know what? That's going to be the first thing. So the International Institute of Self-Empowerment is all about helping abused women, children, and men, and finding a safe harbor for them, reprogramming their thinking, and having their children to reprogram their thinking. Because, a lot of abusers, they learn it from their family. So if we can change that process and that path, then we can change a lot of things that'll become about. So we're all about helping women finding themselves, healing, finding self-worth, self-love, and self-esteem, and also finding a place for them to live, and also to have an education or a vocation so they can be contributing to the household and be self-sufficient, and then working with their children. And hopefully they'll find the right love of their life, and they'll have a joyous and happy life. So that's part of what the International Institute of Self-Empowerment is all about. And then I asked TIU if she would be director of that division, and she humbly agreed. So thank you.
I'm honored to be part of your Tizzy nonprofit. It's phenomenal. So I'm going to ask you, because we want to be respectful of everybody's time, I'm going to start with some questions because your contact information is in the chat. And for all of you who are viewing this right now, go ahead and ask your questions because we'll see them also, and Michael would love to answer them, okay?
I
So
sure
just
would.
write them down in your Facebook comments, and I will keep an eye on them as Michael answers my first question, okay? Michael, I know that you have a lot of wisdom, and I want to know, what are your sources? Where do you get all your wisdom? Where do you get your answers from?
Well, thank you. And that's a very good question. So, where do I get my answers from? And then I get it through meditation. And as I meditate, I ask what I need to know or what should I explain or etc. And it comes from three different areas. Primarily, number one comes from what I call the true source. And true source fills me with knowledge and understanding. And how do I do that? Well, over the years, I meditated and asked for true inner source guidance. And if you do that long enough, you develop a direct connection. Second connection is with my soul, with my guardian angels, archangels, angels, and so on, and guides and master guides. Through our lifetime, we collect a plethora of angels to help us with our spiritual work. And that's the second area, and that I get that information. And then the third area, because I'm an old soul, I've had many experiences. So that's where I get my guidance. And most important for me, I always ask the true source for guidance. Now, whether it comes from my angels or my life experience or past life experience from my soul, I really don't. I really don't care. So many people go, "Oh, is it the right thing? Am I saying the right thing? Which angel is saying it? Is it only the guardian angels? My archangels?" I mean, why are you trying to impress yourself? If the information rings right, and you will know if it rings right, and that's all that's really important. And that gets my ego out of the way, which is ego, engine got out. So I thought I'd share it that way. And the answers come instantaneously. Once in a while, I have to clear a little channel or energy to get some interference, I call it. Could be my ego, or it could be someone else that's trying to block the information. But I always succeed in getting it. And you too can.
Perfect. So here's my next question, because I used to think I couldn't even concentrate on meditating. You know, I had so much stuff coming through all the time, and it took me a long time to understand how to do that. So that's one of my questions, and we'll come back to that, because first I want to ask you, why are we all here? Why are we here in this lifetime?
Boy, that's a multifaceted question, and I'd like to answer it. Everybody has a mission and goal in life. And when we incarnate, we review whatever we choose to learn. And I want to explain that. Eons ago, when we created this whole universe, and yes, your soul created the whole universe and many other souls. And then we said, well, what if we mess up? So we asked for the law of karma. Right? Karma is nothing but an experience. So if we mess up, whether intentionally or unintentionally, then we have to right the wrong. And how do you right the wrong or the experience? Supposing in a past life you stole money, then you'd have to come back in this lifetime and have money stolen from you. Oh, now I know what I did, and it's over and done with. But here's what happens. Before you incarnate, part of your mission and goals has to do with your karma. Remember, that's experience. Then whatever you choose to do, your missions and goals. And it's multiple level. So mission and goal is probably, it's more likely you will choose your siblings and they'll choose you. You'll choose your parents and they will agree to be your parents. And their ancestors, which we would call the grandparents, great grandparents, and on and on and on. Then also, part of your mission and goal will be eventually bringing up children if you choose to have children, and maybe one marriage or multiple marriages, and maybe also some kind of an education, and then to develop spiritually so you can do your spiritual mission and goals. So all of us have these mission and goals and multiple faceted because we write the script. It's like a gigantic play. That's what our life is. Because we were created out of love, by love, and with love, and from love. Somebody said, well, what if I was raped or whatever? And that's an unfortunate thing, but that could be some of the karma. But the baby, the energy that makes the fetus, is the energy of love. And a mother will always love a child, even when it's angry or upset. A mother will love a child. Even if it's temporary, they still will. But the energy of love is your life force energy. And we call it life force energy, but it's the energy of love. Because your life force energy was full of hate or anger, your body's going to deteriorate. How does that happen? Cancer, high blood pressure, heart disease, other illnesses. It's made out of love, and you accept the love, then you will live until your mission and goal is over. Then your soul will decide, well, I can take on a new mission and goal and live a little longer, or I can go on vacation and have the ticker tape parade, Dom Perignon, prime rib, lobster, and a ticker tape parade. And a lot of people decide to do that. Of course, I'm really just exaggerating, but really, that's what you decide to do. And I've worked with souls who said, I'm done. And so they birth out, which means they transition, or they take on a new mission and goal and they live a longer life. That's part of what happens. So karma, remember, is nothing but an experience. And you can make it as difficult as you so desire. And of course, your guides and angels go, whoa, 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 you're making it too hard. And so they'll help you temper it. But some people come to be abused, beaten, alcoholics, multiple marriages. I want to just address a little bit about multiple marriages. So we make agreements to, as I said, to be with certain people. And perhaps in a past life, with multiple marriages, your marriage was or relationship was cut short. Perhaps there was a war and your wife or your husband got, well, killed. Or perhaps there was a fever or an illness or poison or whatever. And so you said, all these people, I just cut all the ties and finish out. So you get married and maybe it doesn't work out, but you made an agreement to have beautiful children. And then you may get married again, and that person died in some Peloponnesian War or something like that. And then you may get married again and have a wonderful long life or whatever. Sometimes you choose multiple marriages, and that is because you learn about self-worth, self-love, and self-esteem. I don't care who initiates the divorce. It's still painful, and there's some guilt. And that's how you learn about self-worth, self-love, and self-esteem. And part of that is you don't need to have someone in your life. You do, you'll have low self-worth, self-love, and self-esteem. What you do is you choose. Boy, that's a world of difference when you choose someone. Then you have the magic ingredient. So instead of being like this, you become one like this. So I hope that answers your question.
Perfect. Um, Go a little bit into defining the term unconditional love. And that was something that I thought I understood, but I didn't realize that there were things that I was doing that were actually not unconditional love.
Well, when I was talking about you need or whatever, so sometimes we'll choose a relationship because we need to be stroked. Sometimes we need to choose a relationship because that person needs a stroking. I call it a fixer. So they come in and say, oh, this person's hurting. I'm going to help them be healthy and make them healed. And I'll support them and do all this. And they almost always, 99.9%, end up in divorce. Because when I said choose, you selected. I should use the word selected. But if you choose something, you don't need it. You complement one another. So that's some of the things that occur. And our life is so full of challenges. But these challenges are very important because it creates structure, it creates character, and unconditional love means if you're an alcoholic, if you're drunk, or if you're mean or you're angry, I love you anyway. And just think what Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, and many others taught unconditional love. I don't care what you do. I love you. I love you for choosing this experience to be an alcoholic, a druggie, abusive, or whatever, because I realize those are your lessons to learn, and you're helping others learn different lessons. Unconditional love means there are no strings attached. It's a win-win situation for both parties, whether it's children or your husband or your wife or family member. You look at them and say, there's a soul that's struggling. I love them for their struggling. I appreciate them. We have a saying in the spiritual world, and that is you love person on a one-to-one, or you love everybody, but some people you love at a distance because they don't deserve it. I meet so many people. I'm a hugger. I hug men, I hug children, I hug women. And a lot of women, don't touch me. I don't want to be hugged. And I feel sorry. I love them because of their pain. And I send them the energy of love. But I respect they don't want to be hugged. But I always look at you have no self worth, self love, and self esteem. You don't feel worthy. And my heart goes out to them and I send them love. But I respect what they say. Think about that when a person says that. They don't think they are worthy or deserving. Interesting thought.
Thank you. For those of you that are popping in, this is an interview and with Michael, Dr. Michael Gross. And what I'd like to do is, if anyone has questions, go ahead and put them in the comments because I will read them and ask Michael your questions so that we can get a little more feedback, right? So
Absolutely.
while they're thinking about their questions, let me ask you this
Sure.
because I just have to know. Do you believe in ETs, extraterrestrials? You know I had to
Absolutely.
ask.
Absolutely. Extraterrestrials. I tell everybody that our origins are extraterrestrial. They go, what are you talking about? We have all this DNA, and some of the DNA the scientists can't explain. So they call it junk DNA because they don't know what it is. But if we look at our DNA, figuratively speaking, of course, is that we as a species have so much DNA that not only is from our ancestors, but also look at your ancestors, and it comes from extraterrestrials. I mean, if you look at the Nordic group, they're blonde, maybe blue eyes, you look at them. Then you look at the South American people, they have a different color skin, different body shape, and they're indigenous people, what we call. Then we look at the Europeans, and even those look a little different. Even though we look at Portugal and Spain, they almost look the same, but there is differences. And there's differences within the Middle East, and it's like we look at the Middle East and some of Arabic, but then you look at the Iranians and they're Persian, they got curly hair and they look more Caucasian. And then we look at even the Asians, the Chinese, and perhaps the Koreans and Vietnamese, and so on and so forth. They all look a little different. Of course, their DNA is different. So, where did this go or come from? Of course, we cohabitated with extraterrestrials. And we are known in this corner of the universe as royalty. You go, me, I'm royalty? Yeah, you know why? Not only because we have the DNA of so many extraterrestrials, we have the one thing that they have lost, and that's the energy of emotion. Either lost it or bred it out. Dr. Spock, I used to be a Trekkie. He had to analyze every little thing. All right. And the human part of us is emotions. Now, emotions are very powerful. You can make yourself sick. You can create chaos in your life. You can swear and curse, raise your blood pressure, get an ulcer, create serious illness, or you can create love and joy. And part of manifesting quickly is your emotions. That's so important for all of you to realize that your emotions. Now, if you look at all energy, energy is neutral. And what I'd like to point out is you look at electricity, it's neutral. You can heat your house, you can cook with it, turn on lights, right? And you can run power equipment and you can destroy and kill someone with it. How are you going to use the energy? So your emotions are double edged, create chaos or create love and joy and happiness. And you know who's in charge? You. And it's your choice. That help?
It does. It does. Um, Let me go into one more question on that way. Um, can you tell us about the different waves that have come through?
Oh, the different waves of souls. Okay, they have called the Federation. Okay, and that the Federation, Galactic Federation, is very highly evolved spiritual beings or souls. We look at Jesus, Moses, even Plato, Krishna, some of the archangels, and so on. And so the Galactic Federation has a non interference. In other words, we have to progress and grow as we're supposed to. And if we look at that, they cannot interfere unless we're going to destroy this planet Earth. And if that is going to occur, they'll stop it. And if we keep it up, then we become expendable, which means our earthly body will no longer exist. What would happen is your soul is eternal, so it goes on forever and ever and ever. And when we discovered the atom bomb, we discovered it too early. It's supposed to use nuclear power. When atom power went to nuclear power, which is a sister or brother of it, to use it for good purposes. And then we used it on Hiroshima, and we also used it on Nagasaki. The other problem is when you use an atom bomb and now a nuclear bomb, it really tears the fabric in the energy of the universe. And that's another problem. If you watch Star Wars, they would know that when a planet blew up, there was a disturbance in the universe. Obi-Wan Kenobi would kind of mention that. And there's a lot of truth. So they said, how can we help these earthlings not destroy the earth and wake up? And they thought a long time, and they finally came up with a solution. And that solution was they asked for souls to volunteer to come to Earth to wake up the rest of us and say, hey, we have to use nuclear power, atom power for good, and we can control it and not destroy the planet or destroy other souls. And they asked for souls to incarnate. And they asked for volunteers. And from what I understand, some came from other universes, others had incarnated here before, and others had never incarnated. But they go, okay, we'll take on this mission and go. However, there's a caveat. Earth is so dark with emotion that we don't want to develop any new karma. So the deal was made that when they incarnated, there would be no negative karma. Well, who was the first group? Hippies. Make love, not war. Yeah, the hippies. Isn't that great? So I used to be a little confused about them, but they're right now that I understand the responsibility we have. Then you have the indigo children. Now you have that was the second wave, who became slightly spiritual and looked at things differently. Now we have those that are 10 years and younger. These souls are here. They're hungry for spirituality, hungry to learn it, and hungry to change this planet and the emotions on this planet. So that's the third wave. Now there might be a fourth, but hopefully we'll be able to get our act together. They're going to create things where we take all the plastics and a way to dissolve the plastics into something really good so we won't pollute the ocean. They're going to have ways where the oceans will be cleaned up. It's still being worked on and yet to come, but they will have a lot of the answers. Unfortunately, our educational system and negativity is creating chaos with those that are 10 or 11 and older. We have the woke crowd and all the other crowds. So that's part of negativity and ET influence, who don't want us to grow, who don't want us to be enlightened. And right now, Earth is not an official member of the Galactic Federation. However, they're figuratively chopping at the bit for us to join them, but we have to change. I do know several human beings, not all of them, who volunteer to be here and who are part of the Galactic Federation. And they are working hard. Unfortunately, they're talking to deaf ears, but they're not going to give up. I thought I'd share that information. What's the next question?
Actually, if I'm looking at the time, Michael, we're going to have to wrap this up because we've still got a few things to share with everybody. But I think it would be wonderful, and if you're open to this, that we do this format again next Thursday. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea. And YouTube, we can put out that information to those who follow us on YouTube and just announce it. And I just believe it'll make a big difference now that we have a
Yeah,
better understanding.
absolutely. And on that note, with you talking about so many different things, that I just now remembered too that Veterans Day is coming up. Would you like to make a little, a little comment on that? Because I think it's on Saturday, don't you?
I think it's the 11th, yes.
I
What's
think
today?
it's.
The 9th. Today is the 9th, isn't it? Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I remember after the Vietnam War, a lot of our veterans came home and they were spit on and treated like garbage. And I remember how they were, and I thought that was horrible. But there were veterans who, very few left, they call the Great War, which is World War II, and the Korean War, and I've met some of them, and the Iraqi War that we had. And we kind of forget that because of our force, the veterans who sacrificed themselves. I mean, I read stories where a grenade was thrown on in a foxhole or somewhere, and someone threw their body on top of it to save their other fellow soldiers, and they died. So many of them came back with PTSD and other kinds of physical, mental, and emotional ailments. And we forget the reason we have the freedoms we have now is because of them. If you bother to think for one moment, if they thought the United States was vulnerable, we would be speaking another language and taken over. There wouldn't be no doubt about it. It would have happened in World War II, even eventually in World War One, the Korean conflict, and so on, and even Vietnam, if for 1 minute. So all these beautiful veterans, both men and women, who sacrificed their lives so that we can say whatever we so desire. And I feel so sorry for them when they look at the younger crowds that are just criticizing our military and criticizing everybody. And they're spoiled. They don't realize the sacrifices that these men and women made that's so important. Just as a little caveat, I was a international consultant through human services for a corporation, and I went to different countries. And when I get off the plane, there were, let's say, armed guards with AK-47s, and I was told to keep my mouth shut and not say a word. And these were other countries that thought they had freedoms, and it was just frightening. Even South America, the Azores. I would say in New Zealand it was different, in Australia, but you had to be careful of whatever you said. So on November 11th, take a few moments, ask the true source to send love and healing to all the veterans throughout the world, because that's so important. And I want to say it to everyone. On the second Saturday of every month, we have what I call the mass consciousness healing. And it goes from 9:55 a.m. Pacific time to 11:01 Pacific time. So the first 3 to 5 minutes, we talk, we chat, we laugh, and then around 10:05, we go into silence. And sometime around 10:58, I invite you back into your body. I play a little music, inspirational music, and then I thank all of you. You are needed at this time. This world, I don't care where you are, is now in chaos. And if we look at all the different ethnic groups, it's an illusion because if you remove their skin, you can't tell who they are. All you know is that they're a soul, and maybe their soul is lost or misguided. So, everyone, join us the second Saturday of every month. And to access that information, how do you do that?
Well, you call in at 202-926-1059 and the access code, Michael?
125-446-pound.
I'll give
You go
that
one
number
more
again.
time.
It's 202-926-1059 and the code, Michael?
125-446-pound. So I invite all of you, by using the same telephone numbers and the same code, every Tuesday evening, Pacific time from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. I invite all of you to join us. And that is Soul Awakening. We also get a chance to ask questions. And then I deliver a 10-minute little message. So I invite all of you to join us. And that telephone number is
202-926-1059 and the access code, Michael?
125-446-pound. Same numbers. So I invite all of you to do that. It's so important. Because I want all of you to know you are the solution and you can make a difference on this planet. And I want to encourage all of you to use critical thinking. I use the word analytical and logical. It will help you to discern whether the wool is being pulled over your eyes. And right now, a lot of wool is being pulled over our eyes. When we look at the press and they give, the news, some of it is factual, some of it is their opinion. Now, I don't mind if you give your opinion, because we all give our opinions, but don't quote it as the news. Quote it as my opinion that is this and that. So you can say with your critical thinking, yeah, it sounds right, or no, it doesn't. But they don't do that. They just turn around and make you think it's part of the news. And now with AI, artificial intelligence, there's so much fake news, it's incredible. So we need to be aware of that. But there's another gift for all of you, which I enjoin you to select this gift. And I have 306 different messages. They're 10 minutes long, and it's audio. And you can go on YouTube as well, and you can see a beautiful photograph that Tiiu is an award-winning photographer with a little motto on it, and then it's about a 10-minute little audio speech. So when you're in your car, put it on your phone, or perhaps, you know, use your computer and just listen to what I have to say. It's not Michael saying that. I am just the vehicle. It's what the true source wants you to know. So these are motivational speeches. And to access that information is
If you go to the recorded messages, you can dial 434-300-4170 with the access code, Michael?
125-446-pound. One more time, please.
Sure. 434-300-4170 and the code, Michael?
Access code is 125-446-pound. So I encourage all of you to spread the news and have them join all of us. Knowledge is so important. And I want to just say this. I remember I said, well, why aren't more people joining us? And then I was told, how did Jesus get people to come to when he shared the knowledge and tried to empower them? Oh, he would have free food and people would come. Gee, nothing's really changed, has it? So I would like to all of you to look at this as food for your soul, because every word has a frequency and energy. And everything that I speak of, channeled from the true source, is food for your soul to empower you. I would like you to look at that. So I want to appreciate all of you and say thank you. And I have one more thing, but I have to reach
I have
over.
one thing too. I have one thing too. While Michael is doing his thing, hang on just a sec, Michael. If you go to Michael's YouTube channel, go to YouTube and it's Dr. Michael B. Gross, and you'll be able to see recordings of our lives that we've done over the last 2.5 years. You'll be able to access his recorded messages as well. So, one more time, hit the subscribe button because you don't want to miss the golden nuggets that Michael gives you. It's like he said, it's food for your soul, and you can get it anytime you want. Okay, Michael, now you can go.
One more thing, and that is for all of us that are new, I give a complimentary 20-minute session. And the information that Tia has kindly put in, you can access me. So when you call, and maybe I'm busy with a client, leave a message and I'll get back to you. Maybe not that day, the next day, but I will get back to you. So the last part about this is, these are our books. This is written by Tiiu Napp, called Healing the Holes in Your Soul. This is so important for all of you because it's an inspirational book. It's a book for a story about a woman who rose like the phoenix from the ashes. It's empowering, it's motivational, and it tells you what you are possible and able to do if you get your ego out of your own way. I highly recommend it.
Let's start here. This is a spiritual primer written by Dr. Michael Gross. And if it wasn't for this book and that kind gentleman who's over there on that side, I wouldn't have written the book that he's holding. So start here because he's got extra golden nuggets in the second issue of the spiritual primer. And if you want to learn more, just reach out to us. All the contact information is in the comments, okay? And thank you so much for letting us go a little bit over. But this was fun, Michael. And I can't wait to do another interview session with you next week.
Thank you. And I just want to say, my book, they're all out of them on Amazon. So you can contact me and I'll put a personal note in it for you that I will channel from the true source. Therefore, I want to thank all of you for joining us, for giving up your valuable time, and for supporting the whole world to make a change back into love and joy and happiness. Everyone have a great week. Remember, you are loved and you are created out of love, by love, from love, and with love. Everyone, you are unlimited. Namaste, everyone. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michael. This was fun. We'll do it again soon.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.